First game is gonna be Amagi. So, Amagi game. 4 battleships. That's actually pretty okay for the Amagi, since it likes dealing damage. It's like shooting. That's what you want to do in the Amagi. You want to deal damage. So having a bunch of battleships to farm is always nice. New Orleans, Benson, Akizuki. Looks pretty okay. You have a Xian Yang. Against 4 battleships, that's probably an advantage. You both have short-range radars. If your New Orleans is smart, he'll push towards B. Ideally, you send one, like, ideal split at the start is you send one DD and a radar cruiser to B. That should be enough to secure it. And you send the other DD down here to scout A, possibly delay A, and so forth. And generally your battleships move towards B to get this firing angle. That's the ideal thing, in my opinion, if you spawn on the north side. The problem with trying to go A from the north side is it's very easy to get crossfires going. You can get crossfired from here, and you can't really deal with it well. So going to B is easier. All support A. Right. Okay, so your team is going for A. Once again, debatable. The reason why you like going B from the north is because it's easier to shoot into B than it is to shoot into B from the south. See, if you park a ship behind the island here at B, it's almost impossible for the south team to hit that DD hidden behind the island. Whereas if they try to do the same, it's kind of easy to flank from here and shoot, or just shoot from here. Like, you can get the flanks. In fact, you can even push thanks to the islands. So B in general is, in my opinion, superior. It depends on what the enemy team is doing. The enemy team actually looks like they're moving towards B, which is pretty damn good for you since you have a DD going for A. He might get a free cap. There was a smoke spotted. This smoke here means there's probably New Orleans behind this island. So you should have your guns ready in case there's something popping up here. Benson is getting the cap. It's ticking, so there's nothing. You know there's nothing in A because the cap is ticking, so your guns should be pointed this way. Like, you can have your guns pointed this way, but your eyes can be glued on this thing here to see if it's ticking or not. Full broadside Amagi. That could be a good volley. Yeah, I don't know if you angled or just dispersion. At those distances it can be a bit of both. Still though, you're still getting A. The Benson is smoking. Why is he smoking? Did he get spotted or is he just being stupid? It looks like he's just being stupid. You should be using spotter plane. On Amagi has such great dispersion, such great firepower, that you should absolutely be running spotter plane, not fighter plane. Because especially against smoked up ships, it's fantastic. New Orleans popped up. You could have probably shot the New Orleans instead. The New Orleans popped up right here behind the island. I think you had an opportunity to shoot him there, but you focused on him. Then again, you did get some good damage, but getting rid of their radar cruiser is much more important. Your guns should be focused on this guy. New Orleans will get overmatched by your shells, so even if he angles away, you should shoot him. Even if he angles away, absolutely shoot him, because he cannot bounce your shells, and he cannot heal. So any damage done to him is amazing. Absolutely, New Orleans should be the priority target. Wow, is he really going to make a full turn in front of you? Okay, that was a huge mistake by the New Orleans, and that should get punished. I don't know if you aimed high enough though. No, I think you aimed a bit low, but still very good volley. If the NCs had done the same, he would have died. Oh, they are actually doing the same. Okay, so huge mistake by the New Orleans. First of all, I don't understand why the New Orleans left the island cover. Like, hiding behind this island is so strong. He could have radar from there, harass the Benson, and just defended the cap. But for some reason he decided to leave it. Overall though, your positioning is pretty good. You have an advantage. You have a huge points lead. The enemy team is pushing this way. The question is, do you want to keep going this way? Note the new North Carolina. You should have been paying attention to him a bit earlier. He's actually giving you broadside, and I think if you had held your shots, you might have been able to punish him now. But it's okay because for some reason he's still giving you broadside. You could slow down. You could stop here, honestly. I would probably stop my ship right now where you are, because you do not want to go any deeper. The deeper you go this side, the more focus you'll get. Stop and start reversing. Full stop, full reverse. The enemy team is in terrible position, but the further you push this way, the better their positioning becomes, because then they can crossfire you. But if they're all sitting here and you're nosing towards them, this is perfect. Okay, now you got a huge advantage. Secure B, defend. That's really all you need to do. Just sit here and farm damage. Sit here and farm damage. That's the only thing you need to do. You lost the New Orleans. That is a bit of a bad thing, but they only have the Akizuki left, which isn't as big of a capping threat. But as long as your Benson doesn't... Well, you still have 2 DDs left, so it should be fine. They have lost their radar cruiser and the DD. You got both DDs alive, so this should be fine. I don't know why you're not shooting full volleys there, why you're shooting sequential fire, but it's a preference, I guess. Oh, that's a lot of broadside. Should be able to punish that. You can give broadside to shoot him. I would like enough broadside so I can shoot all your guns. I think you're doing that as well. You need to aim lower. I think you're aiming a bit too high. I'd be surprised if that was Citadels. Then again, it could be replay cam. No, you were aiming too high, I think. If you really want to hit those Citadels, you have to go for the waterline hits. You have to go for the waterline hits. Is this a live commentary? No, it's pre-recorded. I just put the vid on and I went for a piss. They are really giving you... They are feeding you broadside. Ideally, your 2 North Carolinas would stop right now. Ideally, these 2 guys would stop pushing. If they just park here and farm damage, this is the easiest win of your life. The enemy team's positioning is the worst I have ever seen. I don't know what rank this is. This could just as easily be rank 5 to 1, because I see this kind of stupid shit in all ranks. But I don't know what the hell they're doing. This should be a free win. Absolutely. The enemy team is misplaying horribly. You want central positions. And, well, honestly, you got it. Nothing is actually stopping you from going wide up here right now. The Akizuki is the biggest threat, but in general you can just farm damage, and there's nothing really stopping you. These 2 NCs, these 2 NCs forces the enemy to angle against this direction. This NC forces them to angle against, like, you have 3 NCs here. So this means they will have to angle somehow. So going really wide up here to create a new angle like this might not be a bad idea. Oh. See, you gotta keep the Akizuki in mind. I think I would start turning away before I would shoot, because there's a risk right now if you shoot, you kind of get boxed in. You can't really turn away right now. Well, you can, but you would eat a lot of damage. You're pushing too much now. I don't like this push. I don't like this push at all. This is too deep. No, this was the moment I think you made a mistake. This is the moment you made a big mistake. I don't like this push at all. I don't like it at all. I don't like turning this way, and I don't like the push in general. I understand you're trying to put the island between these guys here, but if these guys had any idea what they were doing, these guys holding their fire and the North Carolina, all of them would be shooting your broadside now, if they had any idea what they were doing. This NC would push up here and shoot you as well. It appears they are potatoing hard though, and they're letting you get away with what is essentially a pretty goddamn bad move. And they're somehow letting you get away with it completely, which is ridiculous. But that turn was very risky. First of all, the biggest thing I need to highlight now, by moving down here, you have put yourself right next to all your battleships. That means all 4 of your battleships are in one blob. So if the enemy wants to angle against your battleships, the only thing they need to do is angle against this blob. If they angle against any one of these ships, they're angled against all of you. And that's bad. You want to create crossfires. Going wide up here would have created the crossfire like this, which would have been significantly better than going down here with the rest of the blob. Significantly better. Always keep that in mind. You want to create the crossfire. people, that's one of the hardest thing it seems for people to keep in mind, is when they position themselves as a battleship, they want to position themselves in such a way that they create the crossfire. I would probably have grounded just as long as I remained angled. Actually, are they letting you get away with this turn? Because you're going to ground regardless, I think. You were going to ground regardless. But now you're grounded full broadside to 1, 2, 3, 4 battleships. Well, not full to this guy, you're kind of angled, but these 3 are full broadsides. If you're going to ground, make sure you're angled. Just ground, angled, and then take your time reversing. They're not going to kill you if, at these distances as long as you're angled, and if they focus fire you, your entire team can shoot back. But by turning full broadside just before grounding, you put yourself once again at extreme risk. For no real reason. You're still grounded, you're still spotted, you're still stopped, like all these issues. But the only difference is you're extremely vulnerable. The enemy team is letting you get away with all of these mistakes, though, for some reason. You should have been punished a couple of times, I feel. But I don't know what rank that was, but I would assume it was not the highest rank, because those guys potatoed quite hard. I didn't notice the island there until it was too late. That does happen. I mean, if you're really focused on fighting someone, you can ground. It happens to everyone. But just before it happens and you realize it's about to happen, try to put yourself in as advantageous of a position as possible to give yourself time to maneuver and get the hell out of the position. Because you put yourself in the worst possible. By trying to panic turn at the very last moment, you put yourself showing full broadside instead, which is not very good. Let's check Atago ranked game. Let's check that out. It was very low rank, like 20-ish. Yeah, I assumed as much. The level of play was... Even for ranked, the level of play was pretty terrible. Like, the entire enemy team moving away from the caps was extremely questionable. Someone said Akizuki, because I played a lot of Akizuki on stream, I might be able to feature that one. Alright, let's see. This is an Atago game. What do we have here? 3 battleships. That's biggest battle threat here from battleships is the Amagi. Why is the Amagi such a huge threat to the Atago? Well, the Atago likes to flank and kite and harass and so forth. And Bismarck dispersion is so all over the place that it's unlikely that a Bismarck will punish you at range. North Carolina, well, extremely accurate guns. The accuracy, I mean, the shell velocity is very slow. So as long as you pay attention and you see the shells coming, you have plenty of time to evade the shells. Amagi is kind of nasty because Amagi not only has quite good shell velocity, it also has good accuracy. So it's probably one of the nastiest surprises to pop out from around the corner, and Amagi likes to delete ships because of that. Kagero, well, okay, your DD setup is garbage. Your DD setup is so garbage. At least you got a Kiev. If the Kiev plays to support your DDs, it's fine. But if the Kiev goes off on an adventure or tries to push a cap alone, then you're gonna have a hard time. Alabama, Trumpets, Bismarck. I don't really like Trumpets, Bismarck, but I mean, just they still work if they know what they're doing. What happened to my music? So quiet. It's so quiet. There we go. Actually, no, it wasn't so quiet. It was just I had my volume down so low, I think. There we go. Alright, where was I? Your team is pushing AB. You're pushing alone to C. It can work. I mean, the goal in the Atago, when you play the Atago, you want to harass. You want to flank, you want to harass. You want to be the fluid role that can kind of adapt to anything. I would kind of like to maybe see you push this way. You got 2 DDs to scout this flank. Why not use that scouting power to help you out? I was about to say this would soon be a good time to pop the plane, but you popped it yourself. That is good. The reason for popping the plane is of course to give warning. 1 battleship spotted. If you spot all 3 battleships and they're still down here, then you can go full speed and see if you can surprise the DD. We've only seen one battleship though. It's risky to do it if you haven't seen them, because if you come around this corner and there's a battleship here, you're screwed. Okay, you got spotted now. Now you're gonna have to abandon that plan regardless. You're kinda boxing yourself in now. See, if there's a battleship where this Bismarck is right now, when you come around this corner like this, he's gonna blap the shit out of you. So, I'm a bit skeptical, and that's what I was afraid of. And I'm even more afraid if the Bismarck, their enemy Bismarck, is here.
15th month learning to not be a potato. Cheers Flamu and thanks for the stream.
Guaru, thank you for the 15. See, I did not like that move. Because you had no scouting on this flank. There could have been a Bismarck here. And if the Bismarck had been there, luckily he was still sitting in spawn and being lazy and slow. But if he had been sitting there, that would have been the perfect shot for him to take. So... Uh-oh. Will the RNG gods love you? The RNG gods love you. God damn. You already lost a Kagero. See, pushing this left flank might have been a better move, simply because you would have had DD scouting. On this, when you pushed this way, the way you did, because you had no DDs between you and the enemy outspotted you. And the battleships got to shoot you for free because of that. Whereas if you had gone this left way, your DDs would have spotted the enemy team first, and then you could have supported the team. So... you kind of... well, yeah, he should have... I realize now you have Hydra as well. When you pushed around this corner here, you should have absolutely activated Hydra. I completely missed that. But if you know there's a DD in the cap, which you knew because the cap was being taken, and you're coming around a corner like that, Hydra needs to be active. Absolutely needs to be active. You're taking an unnecessary risk of eating Twrps as you come around the corner. Reposition. I would position probably somewhere down here and maybe try to support. Alternatively, you can go really super wide here and try to harass. But once again, your biggest issue right now is your DDs need help. Your DDs are being eaten alive. They have very little support and they need that support. And I think you should be the one to give it. Atago is kind of like an Ur-sized destroyer in the sense that it's really good at supporting friendly DDs. And you kind of haven't been able to support them at all this game. Amagi is pushing stupidly. Amagi is mispositioning. This is a chance to get some punishment in. No, don't bother with the NC. Go wide. Note, if you give broadside like this, if the Benson is in the cap, the Benson will spot you and you will be caught full broadside to the Bismarck. Very, very risky. I assume you were already turning hard left. Okay, why are you still sailing in a straight line? Needs to start turning sooner. Need to start turning sooner. If this Amagi had stopped here, and then you would have had two battleships shooting you as you turn, and that would have been awful. You need to watch your broadsides more often. In general, though, I don't think shooting the Bismarck was worth it. I think going full speed wide and harassing this Amagi would have been the best choice, because this Amagi is mispositioned. He's overextended, he's extremely vulnerable, he should be your focus target, and you should just start burning him down. The battleships have all went to this right flank, which means you are actually very safe. Your broadsides are very safe now. You need to keep an eye out on this North Carolina, that he doesn't get some sort of sneaky shots across the map. But other than that, you should be farming the Amagi. No, don't bother. Okay, he died. That's fine. Once again, eyes on the New Orleans, eyes on the North Carolina. There could be surprise AP coming in. New Orleans AP is no joke. New Orleans has been spotted here. Is he shooting you and killing you in your broadside? Nope. Looks like you're getting away with it again. More awareness of what you're showing broadside to. Once again, New Orleans. When you turn like this, you're giving a perfect broadside to the New Orleans. If he knew what he was doing, he could easily shoot you over this island. So, more broadside awareness. Absolutely more broadside awareness. North Carolina, where has he gone? Okay, he's luckily still sitting still. You're kind of lucky that this North Carolina is pretty potato, because if he pushed in here, where he could actually shoot a lot of targets, he could be shooting the Twrps and you. That's a lot of free broadsides for him to farm. Benson showed himself. That's pretty good. You're giving a lot of broadside once again. Can anything punish you? Looks pretty okay. New Orleans will be able to punish you soon. You could switch to AP right now. Switch to AP. This is your chance to switch to AP and punish this New Orleans. He's coming around full broadside. I think you noticed him now. You need to turn hard left. You need to turn hard left. You can't keep pushing the way you are. You're pushing into a battleship with the North Carolina supporting him. That's terrible. That's terrible. You don't want to be... This current path you're going on, I hate it. Because this guy pops up, you're going to be in a crossfire between two battleships. That's terrible. That's suicide. So, yeah. Absolutely needed to turn behind here and get into cover. Keep kiting. You want to keep kiting. The enemy's when the enemy overextends, like the enemy is doing here, you want to kite away from them and farm them. You do not want to rush them. If they're already pushing, the last thing you want to do is rush them. Because that's a good way to get screwed. And now you're in the crossfire I was afraid of, and I have absolutely no idea how you're going to get away from this alive. Like, what the hell do you do? Hope that your battleships bail you out? Luckily the NC has the awareness of a potato and doesn't actually punish you. Save volleys, don't use all torps on one DD. You have a battleship right here. You have two battleships and a cruiser right here, and you just used all your left side torps on a DD that may or may not be coming this way. Don't like it. Don't like it. You're finally undetected. Finally undetected. This is actually your chance to get into a better position. Is the NC reversing? Can you see him? Can you switch to map view? No, we can't go. Okay, you want to reverse and kill the Akizuki, that's for sure. That's the safest and best play. North Carolina is reversing. We just saw on the minimap that North Carolina is reversing. So what you want to do is kill this guy and then reverse into B and cap B. That is your best play. Okay, you lost vision. That's not good. You can't do the play anymore. You have no more vision of the North Carolina. That play is no longer viable. You're in fact in an extremely shit position. Extremely shit position. Holy moly, this is a bad position. This reverse is so risky. You're very lucky that he kept reversing. If he had been smart, once again, is this North Carolina knew how to position, he will delete you. Okay. No, you cannot push. Well, it doesn't matter. He did finally delete you. But yeah, a lot of misposition. That was really the fun. More broadside awareness. Much more broadside awareness. And way too aggressive for a cruiser. Way too aggressive for a cruiser. Atago is a kiting cruiser. The number one advantage of the Atago is concealment. Concealment is the absolute number one advantage of the Atago. And how much did you get to use your concealment in that game? Well, you got spotted early, and then you were pretty much spotted all the way until you died. You were pretty much spotted from the start of the combat all the way to the end of the combat. You might as well have been playing any other cruiser than one of the stealthiest cruisers in the game, because you never got to use your stealth at all. So, more safer positioning and significantly more broadside awareness. More minimap watching for sure. Guaro, thank you for the 15 months, much appreciated. Hawkeye, thank you for the 11, and Kyogia, thank you for the 4. Right, let's see. Let's see, what else? We could do an Akizuki ranked game. We did a battleship, we did a cruiser, let's do a destroyer as well. Do a face reveal. Yes, no one has ever seen my face. It's an extremely well kept secret. Do a US battleship ranked? I'm pretty sure I've done those. It's not like my face is an emote on my Discord. I need to reveal my face. It's not an emote on my Discord or anything. Whatever. Let's see. What do we have here? Akizuki, Z23 and Benson. This is very favorable. Carrier, if you're gonna run into a carrier, Akizuki is probably one of the best DDs, short of Kid, to be facing. Your face is on Google. Spicy. Is being a sub needed in order to send a replay? Yeah, because you can't link stuff in chat if you're not a sub to begin with, so that kind of blocks it. Right, on this map, ideally, Benson scouts. Benson does the scouting and stuff around here. You're the DD that goes to Cap C. Because you have the AA in case the Shokaku goes for you, you can kinda deal with it. I mean, a good Shokaku can still strike you out. It doesn't make you invulnerable, but you can harass the planes quite well. In general, you don't want to be doing too much YOLO solo stuff when there's carriers involved. Carriers make the game a lot more strategical and some sort of random ass YOLO pushes, which you can get away with in, let's say, Clan Wars. You can't really do in ranked because of the carrier spotting it. Nicodemus81, I thank you for the sub. Thank you for the sub. YOLO solo stuff, indeed. Battleship wise, pretty lucky. All these ships have very inconsistent guns, so unlikely to get blapped too hard. Atago can be an issue if he knows what he's doing, if he's supporting his two DDs. Like, ideal, if the enemy is smart, they send at least their Z23 towards C, and then they send the Atago to escort it, which means they can get away with a lot of weird stuff. Activate your AA, start focus firing the planes. You should have turned on your AA, you should have turned into the planes, and you should focus fire them. Killing even 1 or 2 torpedo bombers early on really messes with his initial strike. And if those planes come back for you later, or if they go for the Benson, you've just helped them out significantly. Because he's not going to be able to strike you there, because you have so many fighter planes around you. So there was kind of a no-cost opportunity to shoot down some planes. And the Akizuki is exceptionally good at shooting down planes. Nicodemus, cheers. That's always nice to hear. You got the solo cap, you're pushing this way. Most enemy ships have been spotted. Note that you have no idea where the DDs are. Note that the enemy knows exactly where both your DDs are. Also note that the enemy has probably spotted the fact that your battleships are positioning like idiots. And this Atago, well, he abandoned his flank because he was spotted by planes. So you actually have no support. And if the enemy if they have players with good map awareness who realize this, it means that they can play extremely aggressive in the middle right now. And even the DD can play quite aggressive. So this is a risk you need to keep in mind. For that reason alone, I would probably go this way around into the cap, because this area is risky now. You don't know where their DDs are. If you try to push like this, you might run into double DDs. And you're not going to get any support, whereas they're going to probably have at least the Atago helping, possibly the Bismarck. It's a shit show. So, safe approach. You're taking the safe approach. I like that. I don't know if you're taking it for the same reasons, but it's probably a good idea at this point. You don't really want to be caught in the open. Z23 is spotted. This is fantastic. Benson versus Akizuki, 1 versus 1. You absolutely shit on him. As long as you don't get Twrp, you absolutely shit on him. So you should play aggressive at sea. You right now have an opportunity to make a play for your team. You can secure the sea cap for your team, even if the Benson is there. He cannot take you 1 versus 1. Ideally, the carrier would send one of his bombers down here to scout. But you should assume at this point that the Benson is coming in from the south, and he's going to be capping C against you. I had a kid once, so sold it. That sounds so wrong. Our enemy team is trying to put some pressure on this flank. This is the Benson. Wow, they're letting you get free C. Okay, you should start at this point. Ping your teammates, tell them play safe. We're getting a cap advantage. Let your team know. Especially in ranked, people don't really have the map awareness. They don't really have the understanding. But right now you have a huge advantage. Like, your team has a massive game-winning advantage. The problem is in ranked, people are usually too dumb to understand these advantages. So they will probably keep trying to make plays, they keep trying to make action, and keep trying to make things happen for no reason whatsoever. The Benson, for example, is way too aggressive right now. He's gonna get carrier spotted, he can get blapped by multiple enemy ships. Lots of risky things. I don't like this way. I don't like this. You should be going back through the middle here, scout for your team, support your team. You know there's probably an Atago here. you might get spotted by an Atago coming around the island. You have no awareness. Like, or no, this fighter needs to scout it. Luckily, he was far enough away. If this Atago had been faster and would have been somewhere down here, you would have been in huge trouble. Luckily, though, the Atago was being a potato, and you kind of got away with it. I don't like this rush. Oh, no, 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 I do not like this at all. Too aggressive. Too aggressive. Way too aggressive. You gotta assume Hydra. Always assume the enemy player is running all the tools needed to counter you. Assume he's running everything he can to counter you. Assume he has every single tool available to use against you. That way you don't get surprised by any of them. He's not rushing you? Okay, you got away. I did not like that. You should be using AP. He's giving broadside. AP, AP, AP. AP, 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 AP. Lots of AP opportunities here. Okay. He was an idiot. I guess that works. I did not like that move at all, even though it worked out because the enemy Atago was a complete idiot, showing full broadside. He sees the DD, he doesn't react, he keeps sailing full broadside. Even though it worked out, I still didn't like that move at all. I don't know what rank this is, but that was mostly just him being a complete potato. You really shouldn't do that, especially in higher ranks. Rushing a cruiser or getting spotted by a cruiser in a DD should get you wrecked. For some reason, he was not running Hydro. I mean, he could be running defensive AA. That's perfectly okay for roaming Atago. But for some reason, he made no maneuvers whatsoever, even though you were spotted. So, this is rank 11. Oh my lord, ranked really is kind of a shit show. But yeah, too risky. Especially since you had a Monarch coming your way. So, you had backup. You were probably going to be forcing this Atago to turn away. You were probably going to win this fight regardless. Taking a huge risk to Twrp him, probably not worth it. Note that because you had the Monarch here, you are 2 versus 1. And that automatically means that the Atago will not be able to push the cap. And all you really need to do is defend the caps against the enemy, and you win the game. Killing the enemy, well, that's just a bonus, which isn't really necessary. Still though, it worked out. If it's stupid, but it works, it's still stupid, but at least you were fortunate. So, there is that. The Z-23, I don't understand, why is he shooting? Why are you shooting, Z-23? Okay, he smokes up. On God's name. Why is he leaving his own smoke to get spotted again? These players are causing me physical pain right now. You should be focusing the Benson. He's rushing your Monarch. Okay. He's standing still, I think. No, he's... What the hell is he doing? Is this EU rank 11? Or is this NA rank 11? This is turning more into a commentary on how shit the enemy team is than the player itself. Yeah, because, like... What the fuck is that? Is that a no last stand Benson who's not... Is he AFK? I think he was AFK. Was he AFK? Like, I don't even know. What the shit? These are the... Like, I'm watching the kind of teammates I get in ranked on the enemy team right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm watching my teammates on the enemy team right now. And it hurts. It actually hurts. It was one of the average games. I'm so sad that this is the average game, like, not because you played this bad, but because the enemy team gave me... I don't know what disease it gave. I think whatever disease I mention it's offensive to the disease. These people have too many chromosomes. It comes down to that. These people have way too many chromosomes. Like, they were asked, which one of these chromosomes do you want? And then they said all of them. And this is what we got. Going to B is a valid option. It's hard. The problem with pushing from A to B is that it's very easy to crossfire you as you try to push in. That is the fundamental issue. To C, you can push C without any real risk of crossfires. Pushing from A to B, you're putting yourself at huge risk. You're putting yourself at a huge risk. Right, let's take one. That was Akizuki. Let's take one more. Do they have one more replay? One more ranked. I want one more ranked replay. Since it is a ranked season and everyone keeps asking me questions about ranked, so. Another Amagi game. A fundamental issue I see in a lot of these games is too much aggression. That's really a really fundamental, especially when aggression while at an advantage. It's one, if you're aggressive when you're behind, that's fine. You're supposed to be playing aggressive when you're behind. But I see a lot of aggression when you have advantages. And if you already, what you're trying to do when you play aggressive when you have an advantage, what you're trying to do is get an even bigger advantage. But that's risky. Instead of, people don't like playing, okay, we have an advantage, let's hold this advantage and turn it into a win. No, they go like, we have an advantage, we should push this and try to make it a huge steamroll win. And that's usually when shit backfires. And here we go. Picked an Amagi game. Mutzel in the Amagi. NC Twrp, Bismarck. German battleships are pretty damn juicy targets for the Amagi. You kind of eat them alive. The reason for this is they have huge superstructures. So if one pushes nose in, you can just aim for the front turrets and you hit the superstructure, and it's massive damage. And if you have to brawl them, close range, the Amagi has a turtle back as well, so you can't get citadeled. So in a close range brawl, you can actually beat Twrp and Bismarck quite easily, simply because you have one additional gun to compensate for their secondaries. Kutuzov, they have New Orleans. On this map, New Orleans is pretty damn good. If the New Orleans positions smartly like at C, if you get support and he pushes into C with radar, it's really hard to get C back. But Kutuzov is kind of foolproof. The player doesn't have to be as good to make the Kutuzov work. Basically, he just smokes up in a good spot and then he just burns them all. Especially against quadruple battleship, Kutuzov is especially valuable, since of course it's so damn good at burning down battleships. Flamu, ranked on C well. Ha! There's a goddamn joke. There's a goddamn joke. Flamu, do you advise to buy the 20 big Christmas crates? What? I mean, that depends entirely on how much money you have and how comfortable you feel using it on World Warships and blah 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 blah. Do I consider 20 big gifts value for the money? Yes. If you're gonna use that amount of money on the game, you get the most value out of buying the big Christmas crates, because you get so much good stuff out of them that usually you get something like 2 or 3 times the value in terms of buying the crates. So in that sense, yes, I recommend them, but I mean, it's not like I'm telling you, here, go buy them now. Oh, it's a good idea. Zomg Povn Barbecue, thank you for the sub. Right. Your team is capping and they're pushing hard for C. That's fine. Your team is joining them. And it looks like they're all going to be joining them at C. That's good. DD spot B, please. I mean, you both have very brawly ships, but you have a Kutuzov. If you have a Kutuzov and the enemy has a New Orleans, you want to kind of just sit and farm them. You don't really want to be pushing into them. Like, especially your DDs don't want to be pushing into a New Orleans. If you can force them to push into you and push into your Kutuzov, now that's a jackpot, because your Kutuzov can farm massive amounts of damage. Concerning Christmas crates, I suggest the idea it's Christmas, get yourself some stuff. Yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean, the problem is, if you really want some specific ship, trying to get it through Christmas crates is not that efficient, because ultimately it's really RNG. Wow, he wants to give you that broadside. That is a good aim. That aim looked pretty damn perfect. It was at the, slightly below the waterline because he's coming slightly towards you, and he was moving slow. Should be a good volley. Pretty okay. Your Kagero is being way too... Okay, I hate this Kagero move. The New Orleans has been spotted. New Orleans has been spotted down here. Kagero, if he runs into a DD and this New Orleans radars, he's gonna get completely annihilated. So your Kagero is taking a very stupid path right now, and I dislike it heavily. He wants to Twrp so badly, but he's taking a huge risk. You should be punishing this Bismarck, just continually harassing him. He's giving you too much broadside, and you can kind of force him out of the game by just putting pressure on him. Your battleships decided to go push B. You should tell them right now, this is another case where you should take the time to write in chat. We're getting C for free. We're about to get a huge advantage. Play safe. And this is something, of course, teams struggle with, but at this point, play safe should be the command. Because you're about to get a huge lead. What's the point? Why push when you have a huge lead? You can't. The only thing you can do is win harder at the risk of losing. There's no point in that. You have a good health advantage. You have a good cap advantage. The enemy team is eating Twrps and shit. Like they are being screwed here. There is no reason to keep pushing. Keep harassing that one. Oh, this Twrp is on the left. He's giving, at this point, just go for the flat broadsides. You're not gonna kill that guy before he gets away, if he wants to get away. So just punish this flat broadside over here. Or alternatively wait for this guy, but I think he's pushing. I still think you should have gone for the flat broadside right there. No, the Twrp in front of you is turning. The Twrp in front of you. He is giving you aim higher. Either wait for the full broadside or aim higher so you hit the superstructure. You are giving a ton of broadside to two battleships here though. You're kind of getting lucky right now that they're not getting too much damage on you. But yeah, if the Twrp pushes, kite away. Pushing you right now is stupid. They should be pushing C, not really pushing you, because they're pushing into a crossfire. Note, why are you giving this much broadside? Why are you still giving more broadside? This is something I highlight very often. There's no reason to give this much broadside if your front guns haven't turned yet. You're not gaining any advantage. You can't... These guns don't become more accurate if you give more broadside. You should wait until these guns have turned, and only then do you give this much broadside. At this point, you could have easily angled yourself much sharper away. So if this guy shot you from here, you would have taken almost no damage. This is a very common thing. When people turn their guns from one side to the other, they give far too much broadside before the front guns have even finished turning. Only now are they turned. Only now should you be giving this much broadside. There was no reason to give this much broadside. Against the better players, you would have traded a lot of unnecessary health, because they would have been able to punish you. And that's something to keep in mind. There's no reason to turn fully until your guns have turned fully. Your Benson should be running away. I mean, you are about to get B. Why is your Benson challenging? He should be fleeing. Trading B for C is perfectly fine. You lose a cap, but you gain one, so you still end up with a cap lead. And you have a ship lead as well. Looks like the Benson is running, but it's far too late. He should have been running significantly sooner. Note that you're giving full broadside when you take that shot, and you're still turning left. Now, ideally, in that situation, let your rudder straighten out. Let your rudder straighten out, then shoot, and then start turning right. Because if the enemy was paying attention and they returned fire, you have to wait for your rudder first to reset and then turn the other way. So basically, you're taking twice as long to make the maneuver that you normally would. So I'm kind of nitpicking here. But these are very common battleship things people do. These are two things I see extremely often. The whole turning your guns and not letting the rudder reset before taking the shot. You could probably slow down significantly right now. I would probably slow down and start reversing at this point. Why? Because you're creating a crossfire. Look at the minimap. This guy is going wide here. This guy is holding the middle. If you start reversing this way, you create this huge kill zone. And they can't angle against it. The further you push away, the more it becomes easier for the enemy team to angle against you. Create the crossfire. Why are you running away? You're full HP. You can heal this health whenever you need. There's no one close by. There's no real threats. You are perfectly safe. If they try to chase you, they have to chase you across like full broadsides from everyone here. If they try to chase you like this. So, a bit too safe play right now. Twrp was locked in instead of NC. That's a common replay bug. I don't comment on that because that's just a common replay bug. Like who's locked on and who's not locked on. That you can even do it manually. Like I can manipulate it during the replay. It's really glitchy, so it doesn't mean shit. Note that Amagi HE is actually very strong. Amagi HE, can we actually see the values here? Amagi HE does a lot of damage, and you have 10 guns and high fire chance. So if you got battleships pushing right in, nose in, there's nothing stopping you from using HE. In fact, when Amagi was seeing a lot of play during ranked, or clan competitive games, like Kings of the Sea, Amagi is usually shot HE. Very often shot HE. How do you manipulate who you target? I think the default key is X or something, but I've rebounded to my mouse 5, so whenever I want to target someone I just click mouse 5. It's easy because you're using the mouse to look at the ship anyway. Like in this case, HE would probably be really strong. This NC is already burning. Okay, he's gonna give you broadside, which means AP is just fine, but don't underestimate the opportunity of using HE here. 7k damage. Call target on him, get your team to focus him. Good. He's listening, well done. Don't be afraid to spam it, like get your team to focus that. I spam it often. Whenever I see someone in a bad position and I want my team to punish them, I just spam that focus fire target on them. Once again, you would have had, even if you would have like been a bit further back, you would have had flat broadsides there. You could still have been further back. Like if you would have reversed up here, the crossfire you could have created with your team would have been so disgusting. Now though, they're angled perfectly against you, so the crossfire you can create doesn't really exist. If you do have HE would be better right now, but since you do have AP loaded, well, what? What the hell are you doing, Kagera? Yeah, but if you have to shoot a battleship that's angled like this, especially if it's a Twrp or Bismarck, just shoot the superstructure. Or they can be kind enough to give you full broadside, that works too. Wow, that guy is... what on... why? No, that's gonna bounce, you need to aim higher. Might have been replay bug. No, I think you aimed too low, 3 bounces. You need to aim higher. When he pushes in like that, you can't be hitting this part when it's angled. It's just gonna bounce. You want your shells to land around here. The superstructure part. Too low again, I think. Yep, that's bounces. Honestly, this replay, mostly small positional things, more awareness of the potential of crossfires, a bit more team communicating, like making your team understand what's good and bad moves is kind of useful, and small mechanical things, where to aim, how to position, how to turn around, why not angle too much, and such things. But overall, this wasn't a bad replay, like in terms of gameplay. It was a pretty solid gameplay. Maybe a bit too much broadside given at certain positions in the middle, a bit too much broadside given for no real reason. 6 pens and the game ends. Yeah, that final game, pretty straightforward. The enemy team honestly made huge mistakes.